You never forget the sound of an envelope hitting the floor. That soft thud can change your life. It was a Thursday morning in late February when I heard it. I was sitting at my tiny kitchen table in my one-bedroom apartment on the south side of Chicago, scrolling through job postings I'd already applied to twice, when the mail slot clanked. I didn't move right away. I knew what it was before I looked. Another reminder of how fragile life had become. When I finally stood and picked it up, the paper felt heavier than it should. The words on the front were printed in red. Notice of eviction. Final warning. My stomach dropped. I placed it on the counter next to the half-empty coffee cup and stared at it for a long time. There wasn't much left to think about. I'd already been behind on rent for 2 months. My savings had vanished after my old job shut down. The new one hadn't started yet. Every check I got went to groceries, gas, and keeping the lights on. I had told myself it would be fine, that I'd make it up next month. But next month had come and gone, and here I was. I unfolded the letter and read it twice. 14 days. That's all it gave me. 14 days to pay everything or leave. The first thing I did was call my landlord. Her name was Mrs. Russo, a small, tough woman who'd owned the building for decades. She wasn't cruel, but she was tired. Everyone owed her something these days. "Mrs. Russo, it's me," I said. "I got the notice. I just need a little more time." She sighed. "You've had time, honey. I've got bills too. If I don't pay the bank, they take the building." "I know. I just started a new job. I'll have my first paycheck next week." There was silence on the line. Then she said, "Bring me something, anything, by Friday. We'll talk then." That gave me 48 hours. I hung up and stared at the walls. The apartment was small. 1 bedroom, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 chairs, and a window that overlooked the alley. But it was mine. My little corner of the world. Losing it felt like losing more than a place to live. It felt like losing proof that I could take care of myself. That night, I couldn't sleep. The ceiling creaked with the sound of the upstairs neighbor pacing, and every noise made my chest tighten. I opened my laptop again and searched rent assistance programs. I clicked through a dozen government websites that all said the same thing: applications currently closed due to high demand. Around midnight, I found a local community group that helped tenants in crisis. There was a phone number. I called, expecting voicemail. A tired voice answered. "South Loop Housing Aid. This is Carla." I froze. Hi, my name's Mark. I got an eviction notice today. I don't know what to do." There was a pause. Then she said, "Okay, Mark, take a breath. Can you tell me how much you owe?" 2 months, $1,900 total. "Do you have any income right now?" "I just started a new job. First check comes next week." "Okay," she said again, calm and steady. "That's something. Let's start there." She asked for my email, sent a list of documents she needed, and promised to call back in the morning. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks, a small flicker of hope. The next day, I spent the morning gathering paperwork, pay stubs, ID, the lease agreement. I scanned everything and sent it off. Then I went to my new job. It wasn't glamorous, warehouse work, long shifts, loud machines, and fluorescent lights that made the world look gray. But it was honest work. It paid enough to start over if I could just get through the next 2 weeks. At lunch, I sat on the loading dock and checked my phone. There was an email from Carla. "Got your documents. Program funds are limited, but we'll do our best. Don't panic yet." I smiled at that last line. Don't panic yet. It was easier said than done, but it was something. That evening, I walked to Mrs. Russo's door. The hallway smelled like dust and detergent. She opened the door with a look that was more tired than angry. "You got something for me?" she asked. I held out $200, everything I could scrape together. "It's not much," I said, "but I promise the rest is coming." She stared at the money for a long moment, then took it. "I'm not a monster, you know," she said softly. "But you've got 2 weeks, Mark. After that, it's out of my hands." "I understand." She nodded. "Don't make me regret this." When she closed the door, I stood there for a second, listening to the faint sound of her TV through the wall. I didn't know if she'd meant it as mercy or warning. Maybe both. Over the next few days, I worked every extra shift I could. My hands blistered, my back ached, but I didn't care. Every hour was another step away from losing everything. On the 7th day, I got a call from Carla. "Mark, I have good news and bad news," she said. "Good first. The city fund approved partial assistance, $800. It'll go directly to your landlord. And the bad? That's all they can offer right now. The rest is up to you." 800. It wasn't enough, but it was something. I thanked her until my voice shook. She told me to keep her updated and to call if Mrs. Russo tried to push me out early. When I hung up, I sat on the edge of my bed and just breathed. That night, a snowstorm hit the city. The wind howled through the cracks in the window frame, and the radiator clicked unevenly. I wrapped myself in a blanket and watched my breath fog the glass. I thought about the word home. It's strange. You don't realize how fragile it is until someone threatens to take it. I'd lived in that apartment for almost 4 years. Every scratch on the floor, every creak in the walls had a memory. The time I burned my first Thanksgiving dinner trying to impress someone. The night I stayed up watching the Cubs win the series, yelling so loud my neighbor banged on the wall. I wasn't just fighting for a roof. I was fighting for my history. The next morning, I left for work before sunrise. I was halfway down the street when I saw something on the front steps. A brown paper bag with steam rising from it. Inside was a container of soup, a sandwich, and a note written in messy handwriting. "Hang in there." From the lady upstairs. I looked up and saw Mrs. Russo's window curtain flutter closed. For the first time in days, I laughed. Not the desperate kind, but real laughter. The kind that comes from being reminded you're not alone. The next few days blurred together in a rhythm of work, worry, and waiting. Every morning I left before dawn, the city still half asleep under its gray winter sky. Every night I came home exhausted, hands cracked from the cold, legs aching from hours on concrete floors. But each shift meant a few more dollars towards safety. By the 10th day, my first paycheck came through. When I opened the envelope and saw the numbers printed across the stub, I almost cried. It wasn't much, but it was enough to matter. After taxes and deductions, I had just under $600. I folded the check into my wallet like it was something sacred. That evening, I stopped at the bank, cashed it, and walked straight to Mrs. Russo's apartment. The hallway smelled like old carpet and boiled cabbage. When she opened the door, her expression softened just slightly at the sight of the cash in my hand. "You really are trying," she said. "I promised I would," I told her. She nodded, counted quickly, then looked at me. "I'm still waiting on that city payment you mentioned. It should arrive any day. I can show you the email." She waved it off. "I believe you. Keep going." Then quieter. "Most people just disappear." Those 3 words stayed with me all night. Most people disappear. It made me realize how many stories end quietly, without witnesses, without hope. I didn't want mine to be one of them. That weekend the snow finally stopped. The neighborhood transformed from gray and slushy to crisp and white. Children built snow forts near the alley, their laughter echoing between brick walls. I stood at my window watching them, feeling something stir inside me. Maybe gratitude, maybe exhaustion. Sometimes the two feel the same. I spent Saturday at the community center helping Carla and her volunteers stack donated groceries. I wanted to say thank you somehow, and she had mentioned they were short-handed. While we worked, she asked about the eviction notice. "It's not over yet," I said, "but I'm getting there." She smiled. "That's how it works, one small win at a time." Then she handed me a box of canned goods and added, "You'd be surprised how many people come here ashamed. They think asking for help means failure. It doesn't. It just means you're still fighting." That night I wrote those words down on a sticky note and stuck it to my fridge. Still fighting. Day 12 arrived with an unexpected visitor. I was returning from work, snow clinging to my boots, when I saw a familiar face on the stairs. Mrs. Russo. She held a folded paper in her hands. "Mark," she said, "I got confirmation from the city program. They sent the 800. Relief washed through me so fast I had to grip the railing. "That covers almost everything now," I said. She hesitated. "It does. But listen, if you can get me another few hundred next month, we'll call it even. I'll waive the rest of the late fees." "Really?" She shrugged. "You kept your word. That counts for something." I thanked her so many times she finally laughed and told me to stop before she changed her mind. When she left, I leaned against the wall and let out a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. For the first time in weeks, I felt safe. The following Friday marked the end of the 14 days. No eviction notice on the door, no knock from the sheriff, just quiet. I made myself breakfast, eggs, toast, and coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Each sip tasted like victory. After cleaning the kitchen, I sat at the same table where the first letter had landed and opened my notebook. Under the date I wrote one sentence: "I'm still here." It didn't feel dramatic, it felt factual, like taking inventory after a storm. Spring came slowly, the snow melted into puddles, and the trees outside the building began to bud. With each paycheck I set a little aside, first $50, then $100. For once I wasn't playing catch-up, I was building forward. One Saturday afternoon, Mrs. Russo stopped me in the hall. She held a stack of rent receipts and said, "You're all caught up, sweetheart. I'm proud of you." Hearing those words from her, "proud of you," hit deeper than I expected. I smiled. "Thank you for not giving up on me." She waved a hand. "You didn't give me the chance." That night, I took a walk around the block. The city felt different. The same cracked sidewalks, the same sirens in the distance, yet somehow lighter. Maybe it wasn't the place that changed. Maybe it was me. Months passed. I kept volunteering with Carla's group whenever I could. I helped new tenants fill out forms, explained how to talk to landlords, how to stay calm when fear made your hands shake. One evening, a young couple came in, holding their own eviction notice. They looked exactly how I must have looked, tired, embarrassed, scared. I told them, "I know how this feels. You can get through it." They listened. They smiled a little when I told them about Mrs. Russo's soup and the note on the steps. Sometimes the smallest kindness really does save a person. A year after that first notice, I received a different kind of envelope, one addressed to Mr. Mark Hanley, valued tenant. Inside was a lease renewal and a handwritten note from Mrs. Russo. It read, "You're the kind of tenant landlords hope for. Thank you for staying." I laughed out loud reading it. Life had come full circle. The same building that once felt like a threat now felt like home again. Looking back, I realized the rent notice wasn't just a warning. It was a mirror. It showed me how fragile stability is, how quickly pride crumbles when fear enters the room. But it also showed me how strong people can be when they decide to fight instead of flee. The truth is, I didn't survive that winter alone. I survived because strangers answered the phone, because a landlord chose empathy over policy, because someone upstairs left soup on the steps. All of it mattered. Now, whenever I hear the clank of the mail slot, I still pause. But it's no longer dread, it's awareness. A quiet reminder that every envelope could hold a turning point, good or bad, and if it ever tilts toward bad again, I know I'll handle it. I still volunteer, still keep a little fund saved for emergencies, still tell anyone who will listen that asking for help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Carla once told me that community is like a net. You don't notice it until you fall, and then it's the only thing that keeps you from breaking. I carry that with me. Every time I pay rent on time, every time I drop a few dollars into the donation jar at the community center, I think about that net, and about all the people holding it together. So here's what I've learned. Life rarely falls apart all at once. It unravels quietly, missed calls, late bills, unopened mail, but it also rebuilds quietly. One answered phone, one helping hand, one act of kindness. If you're listening to this and you're behind on rent, or you're scared of the next envelope that lands on your floor, hear this. You are not a failure. You are a person trying to stay afloat in a world that doesn't always make it easy. And there is help out there, even if you have to dig for it. Keep calling, keep asking, keep fighting. When I tell people my story now, they always ask, what changed? And I say, everything and nothing. The bills still come, the work is still hard, but I'm not afraid of the mail anymore. Fear used to be the landlord of my mind, now hope pays the rent. Thank you for listening. If this story meant something to you, share it with someone who might need to hear that hope isn't gone yet. And if you want more true stories that remind you how resilient ordinary people can be, subscribe to Fictional Frame, where every story has a lesson worth living.